Let's go. All right. So here's what I want to talk about this week. I had some awesome conversations with several of you guys over the break, as much as we could sneak in. I know you were crazy. I was crazy busy. I was sick too. But in the break, we got some great conversations on calendar, because we talked about calendar last week and the importance of the calendar and having your calendar just lined out right. You know, we listed as one of the things you've got to have for everything you want to get accomplished in 2022. The calendar is a vital component. You got to have the calendar to match. Otherwise, it'll just be, and like I said on the call, I don't want it to be that. Last week's call is I don't want it to be just another year that we set a goal and we didn't do anything about. I want you to feel what it feels like to win. The number one reason to accomplish a goal is not to get what the goal is. People think that's the deal. It's not. The number one reason to set and accomplish goals is because of who you become in the process. That's the number one reason to set and accomplish goals, because you become someone different. I've had friends in the past that quit smoking or quit another vice that was destroying their life. They become someone different in that process. It's crazy. Paul Roberts, you think about what he defeated. If you go on the arc and you look at the meetings, somebody put that in chat. I got to focus here. But if you go on the arc and then you log into your arc and then you go down to December or January trainings, it'll say something like that. It's one of the banners on the front page of the arc. If you need more help with that, just get with your growing up line, get with me. I'll help you with that. But the number one reason, like, think about Paul Roberts, he became a different person by beating his addiction. He's now a different person. It's the same reason to have a goal. So we had some awesome conversations with you guys over the break about your calendar. And so what I want to talk about today, I want to talk about two different subjects today on the Monday message. One, I want to talk about the 7 vital components of a successful calendar, because it's not just having a calendar. It's got to have the 7 components for it to be successful. And then I want to hit you real briefly at the end of the call with 3 decisions I need you to make. 3 simple decisions that will have a profound effect on your 2022. So let's talk about the 7 components of the calendar first. Number 1, it's got to be visual. Where people end up, here's what low achievers do. Low achievers, they say things like, well, I know what I need to get done, so I don't need a calendar, because I know what I need. I know what I need to do. I know what I need to get done. Well, let me tell you something. You will not meet a high achiever that is not a slave to their calendar. Every high achiever I know, every single high achiever I know is a slave to their calendar. That's what runs their world. Let me tell you something. If it's important in my life, it's on my calendar. That's how you know it's important in my life. Why? Because all the important stuff I need to make sure I do. And if it's not on my calendar, it won't get done. So it's got to be visual. Now what calendar can you, I'm not married to one method of visual. I know, so I guess some of my old school buddies got the paper calendar, got the planner. Hey, awesome. I'm glad you got it. I know a lot of you use your ARC calendar. You have the calendar on the ARC, or you may use a Google calendar, but whatever it is, it's got to be visual. It can't just be in your head, because if it's in your head, it's just not going to work the same. I'm telling you, in my 20 years with the Alliance, I have seen a ton of high performers, and they're all the same. In my association with Andy, I've gotten to know high performers in other areas. They're all the same. They're all the same. They're all the same. Brian Tracy, John Maxwell, they're a slave to their calendar. I promise you, you look at anybody that's a big achiever, they're a slave to their calendar. It has got to be visual. They all have that visual calendar. Now you say, well, that's not true. I heard Elon Musk doesn't have a calendar. He's got someone that runs that. Does that make sense? They have you have to have a visual structure. You have to have a visual structure, or here's what you become susceptible to. And this eats up a low performer's day. You become susceptible to scope creep, meaning we will fill the time with the time we've got. A visual calendar forces you to be decisive and aggressive in the decisions you make. It also forces you to simplify. See, low performers, that they get eaten alive by scope creep. Their scope becomes so wide that they're not focused on any one thing. High performers stay very focused. The visual calendar helps you make those decisions. All right, number 2, the big blocks got to go in first. What are the most important things you've got to get done in the next 4 weeks? What are the most important things you've got to get done this first quarter? Those blocks got to go in first. They've got to go in first. And then here's what happens. When you use a calendar and you put the big blocks in first, it forces clarity surrounding your priorities. It forces clarity. Why? Because when you put the big blocks in first, the most important stuff in first, that's not going to leave room for the unimportant. So it forces us to get clarity on our priorities. Number 3, a calendar that's going to be successful has to include prep time. You have to include prep time on your calendar. But for instance, this morning, let's say Monday is your dial day. I know a lot of you guys get on the dial jam. Monday is my dial day to book up my Tuesday, Wednesday. That's where I book my 20 appointments. Awesome. Then what will you need to put aside on Sunday? And it doesn't have to be hours, but somewhere on Sunday, then you need to have a 20 or 30-minute block on your calendar where you prep everything for Monday. See, it's easy to just put Monday dials on our calendar, but we've got to put the prep time too. Why? So that way we hit our dial time 100% dialing, 100% prepared. Let me tell you something too. Preparation is magic for your brain. Preparation is magic for your confidence. People that struggle are people that don't prepare. Why? They don't have a lot of confidence. When you prepare, when you take the time to have, I've got, let's see. So, no, it's Sunday at 3:00. I've got to do my prep work for tomorrow real quick. Hey, sweetheart, I've got to go do my prep work for tomorrow. All right, let's see. My leads, let's see. Okay, make sure I've got, okay, so my GMR is filling. All right, let's see. Let's see, I need integrity. I'll need to get some, so this morning, I need to get those integrity internet lead. Okay, so, okay, got that. All right, got my headset charged. I got my phone charged. Okay, everything is set up. All right, and then I've got, when you do that, you will feel so much better. Just try it. Just try it once. It's like, it's like something Andy was pushing me on several years back. Let's say several years back, about 20 years ago. He said, hey, just try it once. If you don't like it, you can always go back to half behind doing things. I was like, okay. Yes, sir. I'm telling you, there's got to include prep time for those essential activities. Got to include prep time. If you don't, the effectiveness, it's not going to be the same. All right, number 4, it's got to include the components that you need to accomplish your goal. So I know a lot of you are going agency manager, district manager, vice president, EVP. I'm going partner. Okay, then it's got to include certain components. It's got to include 20 appointments a week. If you're full-time, minimum 20 appointments a week of personal production. Why? Because you're going to need the cash. You're going to need the cash to invest. I've never had to ask Andy to invest in my people because I'm going to create the cash to do it. I'm going to create the cash to do it. Now, would he do it? I'm sure he would, but I'm going to create my cash. Does that make sense? I'm going to create cash so that when there's an opportunity to go to integrity, I'm not going, well, I don't know. I'm going, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So when do I need to be there? Okay. All right. Get a ticket. Aggressive, not reactive. Does that make sense? I've got to have the cash to invest in helping people get to the convention. I've got to have cash to invest to hey, go travel and travel effectively, right? Buy the more expensive flights that are more effective for my calendar versus having to take a cheaper flight that throws off my calendar. I'm just telling you, it's 20 appointments minimum. Why? Because you want to have cash to aggressively invest. It's got to include 20 interviews, 20 new interviews at a minimum every week. It's got to include time. It's got to include, and think about this. It's time and activity on the calendar. It's got to include at least 10 contacts that you make to help build the business as you're looking for new people. Remember, if you just rely on ads, you're not going to get the most effective people out there. Now, I answered an ad, so I can say that. You may have answered an ad too. We're exceptions, brother. We're exceptions. When you look at my top 20 people, the vast majority came through connections. So what's another activity at time that you've got to have included on the list on your calendar? Lists. You got to have time to work lists. And you, so I don't have any lists yet. Then you need to include 40 interviews till you get someone that you can drive some depth with. You say, why? How do you get someone to drive depth with? Get enough width. Find the ones that want to build. Find the ones that got a dream. Find the ones that got a desire, and then build there. What other components you got to have? It's got to have your growth components. You got to have scheduled time on the calendar early in the morning. Get up and read. Fill your mind, fill your heart with the good stuff. What do you read? We talked about last week. Where do you need to improve? Get a book. Text me if you're like, hey, I'm weak here, brother. Can you recommend a book? I've read thousands and thousands of books. I'll shoot you a recommendation back. It's got to include big blocks like TWC, like activity call, being together with us on the Monday message. Sometimes I know sometimes you guys, some folks watch this later because they get a full-time job. Then you've got to include on your calendar time to watch the TWC replay, watch the activity call, so that you stay pace with the team, so that you stay current with the team. But it's got so the fourth thing is got to include the components that are going to get you where you want to go. The fifth component you got to have with the calendar is it's got to be dialed out completely for the next 4 weeks. It's got to be dialed out completely. Everything that you're going to do in the next 4 weeks needs to be on there. Why? To keep you from getting distracted, to keep me from getting distracted. We've got to be aggressive and fill our calendar for the next 4 weeks. Our dial time, all the big block, all the blocks that it's talked about, you've got to stay 4 weeks out with it. So what are we adding every week? Part of our prep time on Sunday is to look 4 weeks out, or that fifth week out, and go, all right, let me make sure I've got that filled. That's part of our prep time. Number 6, it needs to be reviewed and adjusted. That's part of our prep time. Here's where you want to get. High achievers see around the corners. Low achievers are always thrown off. It's funny. I joke around a lot about, hey, y'all know that they've already decided for the next 1,000 years when Christmas and Thanksgiving are going to be. So none of them get caught off guard, right? Like, oh crap, my personal production day turns out to be a holiday. Oh no, oh no, oh no. It's all on. You got to see around the corners. You got to see around the corners. Then when you hear about meetings coming up, oh my gosh, Mike Lemitovich is going to be in Tampa. I live in Orlando. I'll get there. That's in 4 weeks. Okay, so now I'm seeing around the corner. I got to get that. So what does that mean? I've got to move my production around. I've got to move my recruiting around to make sure I still have all the pieces and all the components in. That's why it's important to review and adjust your calendar. Number 6 component, very, very important. Number 7, this is a basic. I know it sounds basic, but it takes 100% commitment to the calendar to make the calendar work. It takes 100% commitment. It takes 100%. That's the 7th component. You've got to bring that 100. We've got to bring that 100% commitment to our calendar. And let me tell you something. Let me give you a secret. You want a secret? Here's a secret. Blame your calendar like crazy. I'd love to. I just can't. I don't have it. I'd love to. I just can't. I got my calendar. Yeah, there's just nowhere I can put it in. My calendar's jammed. All the stuff that you don't want to do that's not effective, that's not helping you get where you want to go. It makes it easier to say no when you're 100% committed to the calendar. Some of you, I've told my secret that my calendar, I'd call it my covenant. Why? Because it makes me take it even more serious. Commitment, that's here. Covenant, oof, I can't violate that. I've got to make sure that I follow through, that I don't blow it off, that I don't let distraction take me off. It's my covenant. It's my covenant. All right. So those are the 7 components that are absolutely necessary for your calendar to be successful. And if you need those, shoot me a text. If someone wants to throw them up somewhere, those 7 components, I'm telling you, if you have the 7 components, your calendar will be a success this year. It will be a success. And here's just one other tip I give you on calendar. Don't get too crazy with it. People that I get sent calendars all the time, and it's like, here's my latest revision. And it's like, we spend all our time revising and changing the colors of different things on our calendar. That's not an effective use. Does it make sense? Keep it simple, keep it clear, stay committed. All right, here's 3 decisions that I want you to carry with you this year. I'm waiting on whether or not just talk about calendar, just talk about this. I had this plan to talk about, but then I had so many conversations about calendar that I was like, let's talk about calendar with everybody. These 3 things are very simple, but they're a lot. They're very simple, but they're a lot. Because you get that calendar success, you get that calendar set up for success, these 3 decisions will help see it through. So number one decision we've got to make this year: travel light emotionally. Travel light emotionally. Low achievers travel heavy. They got a whole satchel of hurts, offenses, injustices, entitlement. They've got a whole sack that they carry around all the time. And you know, we all know these people. Why? Because the minute they can get their satchel down and opened up, tell you about, here's the time I got hurt this way. Here's the time that I'm so offended about that. This ain't fair. Ain't fair. They got a whole sack of them. They just carry it around. That's why they can't get nothing done. Hey, whoop, let it go. Travel light emotionally. The highest performers I know get their feelings hurt the least. I told that, I think it was Adam Burge I told that. He was saying, oh, sorry about this. I hope that doesn't. I was like, brother, let me tell you something. I am one of the hardest people to offend. One of the hardest people to hurt my feelings. Why? Because I know it's a commonality amongst highly successful people. They travel light emotionally. They don't carry around that whole sack full of hurts, offenses, injustices, entitlements, and what I'm deserved and I owe and I'm owed this, and they don't carry that. That's why they're so happy. That's why they're so light. When you see someone, when you see a highly successful person, and they just, you know, it's like Bryan Adams. I don't even think he walks. I just feel like he just glides. He just glides everywhere. He travels light emotionally. That's why he's so successful. Because in all of this effort to carry this with us, I just don't think I could ever trust again. All that effort is life wasted. All that effort is life wasted. I'm so offended. It's life wasted. You're carrying this stuff, and guess what? All this stuff don't pay rent. All this stuff don't pay rent. Let it go. Let it go. Travel light emotionally. And I'll tell you, if you're anything like me, we'll do good for a little bit. And then we'll go grab our sack again. God, why am I thinking about that? Let it go. Travel light emotionally. Number 2, we got to make a choice. Choose discomfort now so you can have comfort later. See, the reason most people have to deal with discomfort later because they choose comfort now. They do it in their relationships. A conversation needs to be had, but it's an uncomfortable conversation. Uncomfortable subject we've got to address as a couple, so they just don't deal with it. So they take comfort now, shallow comfort now, but there's discomfort coming. Same deal in business. Choose discomfort now so that later you can have comfort. Choose to do stuff you don't want to do now so you do stuff you want to do later. One of my buddies like this. I choose to live now like others won't, so later I can live like others can't. So choose discomfort. Just get your mind right, make peace with it. I'm going to be extremely uncomfortable all of 2022 because I'm going to do stuff that I haven't done. I'm going to do stuff I've been putting off. I've been doing stuff I know I should have been doing, so that later I can have comfort. We choose discomfort now for comfort later. And the last decision, let me tell you something. Last 10% people are the ones that get all the good stuff. And by all the good stuff, I mean fulfillment. I mean happiness. I mean, they have the biggest businesses. They're able to give money to help others. It's the last 10% people. It's the last 10% people. If you and I look back on 2021 and the things we did accomplish, if you and I are being honest with ourselves, what would, when we look at those things, is a list of things that we only gave about 90% to. The last 10% people. That's who gets all the good stuff, whether it's relationships or business, fitness, whatever. It's the last 10% people. So let's just make that decision that this year, 2022, you and I are last 10 percenters. We're going to give that last 10%. We're not going to hold it up. We're not going to save it. We're not going to get to the 20. We're not going to get to the end of 2020. I only gave 90%. I only gave 90% to the stuff that matters. I got all this 10% I saved up. Let me tell you something. The thing about effort and emotion, which is what we're talking about in the last 10%, whether it's our marriage or our business or whatever, the crazy thing about that last 10% is if you save it, it's worth nothing. But if you give it, it becomes extremely valuable. That last 10%. That last 10% of showing someone you love how much you love them, that last 10% is worth nothing if you hold on to it. It's worth everything if you give it away. Same thing in business. That last 10% is not worth anything. Let's get that last 10% to the stuff that matters this year. Guys, Holly and I love you. We want you to win so bad. I want you to win so bad in 2022. I can't stand it. I can't. It just drives me crazy. I'm thinking about it all the time. I want you to win. I want 2022 to be the best year in the history of your family. Guys, let's get out. Let's get after it. Come see me in Fort Lauderdale. Come see me in Denver. I've got travel dates coming up. I'm going to be after convention. I'm going to be in Atlanta. I'm going to be back in Fort Lauderdale, back in Denver. Where do you have heat? Where do you have fire? Let me know. I'll get out there and help you. Guys, Holly and I love you. Hammer down. Let's get it.